So this is our first speaker of the day is a really amazing person. He's a friend of mine here as well, and I'm really honored to know this guy because not only is he an incredible businessman, he's just one of the nicest people I've ever met, and really grateful that he's part of this. So let's talk about Gregory Pekarsky. So he is by the way, his company is Vesta Preferred, and he is here locally here in Chicago. He would love, and his team would love your referrals too. So keep him in mind if you have people moving in and out of Chicago. But Greg Pekarsky is the driving force behind Vesta Preferred and the Vesta team, the number one independent real estate team in Illinois. By the way, just to give you a sense of what that means, here in Chicago alone, there's 47,000 agents. There's probably 60,000 total in the state. Greg's the number one independent team. He has over 1 billion in sales. He is ranked in the top 1.5% of brokers nationwide by Real Trends. Greg's message is rooted in his deep market expertise and unwavering commitment to client satisfaction. Beyond his own achievements, Greg is dedicated to mentoring the next generation of real estate agents at Vesta Preferred, using his extensive experience to help brokers build thriving careers. A recognized thought leader, Greg continues to educate both the public and professionals on the complexities and opportunities within the real estate market. His insights, shared through media appearances and speaking engagements, have made him a trusted voice in the industry. He's originally from the Detroit area, but Greg built Vesta Preferred from the ground up alongside his business partner, Brad Robbins, another fantastic guy that I'm glad to know. Nationally respected and admired, he uses the skills he developed throughout his career to help others transform their lives through real estate. He's a passionate advocate for Chicago. We need those these days. And Greg is on a mission to showcase the greatness of our city. And when he's not working, he enjoys spending time with his family, proudly embracing his role as the least influential person in his home. But family, real estate, and Chicago define his journey. And Greg, welcome.
Thank you so much for having me. Beyond appreciate it. DJ, you came up with all that on your own? Wow,
I,
man.
off the cuff,
Wow.
it was amazing.
Off the cuff, man. You really know me, man. I appreciate that. Hey, thanks so much for having me on. I really appreciate the opportunity. Happy New Year, everybody. The energy is palpable over here at Vesta Preferred. So it's like I took some time off, but like 3 days into my vacation, I was like ready to kick the door down. So couldn't be more excited to start 2025. We had an incredible year in 2024, and I'm going to be talking about, in particular, how we do online leads. But a lot of the stuff that I'm going to be talking about just kind of talks about how behaviorally you should be thinking about your business, which will essentially transpire to the entire operation that you run. I have the slides on my side. So DJ, should I just kind of like go through my own stuff and then you'll kind of follow along? Yeah.
Yeah, I can, if you want me, I can push to the next slide. I've got it up. So just let me know when you want to go to the next.
Okay. Let's then go to the next. So just the kind of general oversight of what we're going to be talking about today is lead generation is just kind of what I'm known for, right? So like we're a nationally recognized lead generation online leads team. We're a flex team here in Chicago, if you guys are familiar with Zillow, and we just have perfected the online lead model. So I'm going to talk about how we do that. If you want to go more into lead generation tactics in 2025. There's a lot to be in with this information. So I'll try to go as quickly as possible because I know we have a minimum amount of time, but that's kind of what this whole idea is. So the few main things is know your numbers. How to know if a lead source is worth pursuing or not. I mean, how many people call you and say, hey, I have 5 unrepresented sellers. I'm looking for an agent in your area. And are you one of those? Would you like some more leads? I almost say no to probably 95%, 97% of people that call me. And it's because I've learned how to go through the garbage, because there is 97% garbage for 3% of actual things you should be focusing on. And then once you have the leads, what are the tactics that you can use to ensure that your closing ratios are as best as possible? To give you an idea, national averages is about 2 to 3%. At Vesta, we do minimally 10%. On the high end, it's 25% closing ratio. So there's certain tactics and strategies that we use that I'm going to tell you guys about that delivers top of the nation, head of the nation closing ratios. So let's begin. So real quick, just to kind of acknowledge who I am, what I am, why I'm here speaking. Last year, we did 270 million closed and pending in 2024, about 540 closed homes. And from 2023, we had 200% growth. So that was, I'm really proud of that. It was a huge year for us last year. And it's in a time when, the settlement happened, all that, it was just like a lot of pullback. We leaned in, and through the tactics I'm going to talk about, we grew exponentially. I also expanded the team to 30 agents, so I'm not like a team lead of 200 people. I do more with less. I only look for the best, highest quality agents in two specific categories, attitude and work ethic. And those are the things that I look for that I can put into my system that ultimately gets agents to then average about $10 million per head on my team. We are the #1 highest producing per agent team. I know for sure in Chicago, I have to say we probably are competing against on a national average there as well. And the #1, the best thing that I'm just like so proud of is last year, we were the #1 buy rep team. The second in line was over 100 deals behind us. So I am very proud to say that we are the buy representative team of Chicago. Let's go. All right. Next slide. How do we do it? It's one word, guys. It's one word. It's consistency. The whole idea of lead generation dominance is consistency. And in the consistency, what we call our consistent activities are MMAs, money-making activities. I'll go into those in a little bit in depth further, but essentially, you have to understand what the formula of success is. Success is correctly labeled activities that you execute upon consistently over a long period of time. Doesn't matter what you're trying to get into. If you want to play piano, you want to work out, you want to be great at real estate, it's about consistently executing every single day on the correct activities over a long period of time. Weekly, monthly, yearly stuff here. And when somebody comes up to me and says, how do you do it? Or anyone asks me, what is your secret to success? Or like, what is it that I can do right now? My answer is always pretty boring. It's just do the things that you know that you need to do and don't ever let off. I never give here's a tactic that's nobody else knows about, right? Like, consistency is the main principle of success. And I just want to hammer that home, guys, because I'm never going to change my answer on that. And if you ever are looking for something that is a proven method, is just stay consistent. All right, next page. All right, so when we're talking about leads, you cannot take on a lot of leads without a foundation. And that foundation is found through your systematic approach on how you're going to deliver the same exact result every single time so that you can then figure out what and where you need to change your flow. In my company, we have about 50 to 100 leads that come in every single day. We have numerous lead sources. We have a huge ecosystem. We have Zillow. We have PPC. We have AI generation stuff. We have referrals. I mean, they're just coming in from everywhere. And what we've understood and figured out is that every single inflow, every single type of lead source has a specific type of cadence, specific type of language that has a better closing ratio than not. Our CRM, we use Follow Up Boss, and I'm happy to share any systems, anything. Nothing here is secret, right? There's a lot of people that like to hold the stuff close to the chest. I've become successful by sharing everything that I have and just giving people the tools to succeed. So don't, and I know DJ is monitoring the chat. I'm not. So if you have any questions, please throw it out there. I will give you an answer right away. So our CRM monitors every single action, calls, texts, emails, because the most important thing is understanding what and how the statistics are of your specific lead sources so that you can understand future projections and how to deliver properly. Knowing your numbers is everything, guys. It's everything. Because here's where people fall out. They start off, they want to get big into leads. They start buying leads or they find a lead source. And the problem is getting leads is the easy part. The hard part is training yourself to then continuously follow up. I've had leads that I followed up with for 5 years, and they've never contacted me back until that 5th year. Something happened. I messaged them. They're like, Greg, I cannot believe you stayed in touch with me for this long. I know who you are. I've been following you. I'm so sorry, but I'm ready to buy. It doesn't happen a lot, right? Because those are usually dead leads, but I don't ever let up. So that when you have a lead that you know that you must call for the 30th time, because on average, that's how much it takes to call this specific lead source and they pick up, it gives you a purpose behind your actions, right? Because so many people, they get excited, 1, 2, 3, but when you're talking about a 2% closing ratio, guys, you have to call 98 people to get one yes. People usually last 20 to 30 calls and they say, whatever, I'm not going to do this. And that is where everybody falls off. Consistency is your main policy here. Next. All right. So knowing your numbers, like I was talking about, number one. So you have to use a systematic approach to understand that. You have to have something that is trackable, right? You don't have to use all the fancy CRMs or whatever, but they do it where they can track automatically your calls and whatnot, so you don't have to do it yourself. And then it offers you the clarity. So here's a really, really good example. The most recent example I can give to you guys. Exclusive contracts, right? The industry went through this massive shakeup last year. The settlement messed everything up. And everybody was really, really worried about it, right? We weren't. Here's why. I was freaking out January, February of last year. I was like hyperventilating because I didn't understand it. What is this? What's going on? I went to so many seminars, understood it, and I figured out what it is that is going to essentially affect the consumer the most. So we figured out what our pitch was earlier on. It came on August 17th, I believe is when it landed. We started to exclusively use them in June because I wanted to give my agents a 2-month head start to understand the gap, to understand the negatives, to understand the reason and ways that people say no so we can sell around it. So what ended up happening is we started to see a new metric happen. When we were going, let's call it out of 10 leads, where maybe we were closing 20% of them, right? So 2 out of 10. That means that whatever we did before, 8 out of 10 leads, we're going to say F off, whatever. And we can't go ahead and get that time back. What this ended up doing, right from the start, you can find out who is real and who is not. And we caught on to that really fast. And what's insane is that we went to a 40% lock-in ratio. So in my opinion, what happened is that we saved 60% of the time because 60% of people said no right away. And we locked in 40% of people right from the start, and we could focus our energy. So we got focus and we doubled our closing ratio. Guys, this exploded our ability to close, to stay focused, and it motivated my team to absolutely crush. Guys, in Q3 and Q4, for the first time in my entire history of my career, we were the #1 team in Chicago. And Q4, by the way, we grew that lead. And it's because we understood one specific metric, closing ratio, on how you can do with your exclusives. Understanding your numbers is everything. Next. All right. Consistent execution, baby. Man, you guys getting the theme here? I'm boring. I'm sorry. This is what works. Consistency is simple, but it's challenging. You have to overcome what I've learned from many, many years of watching agents crash and burn, not being successful, is that what happens is that most people, they just can't stay consistent. It's really, really hard, right? There's a reason why the gym on March 1st looks different than January 1st. Everyone starts with great intention. Everyone knows what it takes to be in shape. But things happen, I don't know, like this happens, everyone's got excuses, right? I got excuses. I get that. But if you can find a way to not allow those excuses to have you fall over and something that can keep you engaged, that is what's been the secret recipe of success here at Best. You want a secret recipe? We do one-on-one coaching. My business partner, he coaches every single agent, every single week, one-on-one. And it's very quick coaching. It's not like, hey, how was your week last week? Because we know our numbers, right? He can meet with Katie, and he understands that if you get 10 leads, 7 of those 10 should be an appointment set. Now, if Katie had 3 appointments set out of the 10, let's listen to your phone calls. Let's understand what's going on, why you're not getting our ratio that we understand you need to be hitting, right? So it keeps everybody on their best behaviors and understanding that, hey, I'm going to meet with Brad, so I have to make sure that I'm hitting these numbers because we give a lot to our agents, right? My promise to my agents is I'm going to give you more than you give me. I'm a lead provider. That is what we specialize in, and that is why I understand the metrics on what an agent needs to be able to succeed in my system. It is great attitude, which we're going to talk in a little bit, and hard work, the best work ethic, because this is so hard. Leads is the hardest thing that I had to learn in my life. Once I understood it, it changed everything for me. So here at Vesta, we have a one-on-one coaching. I understand a lot of people, they don't have that ability. So find a workout buddy. Find that one other agent. Because if somebody is motivated like you, I can promise you, it's going to be one of 1,000 other people. There's not a lot of people that are as motivated as you that wants to be really successful. So you got to find somebody that's actually willing to do it. We have a 3% hire rate here. It's not because I don't want to hire more people. It's because only 3% of people can fit into the system of consistent success. So if you're one of those 3%, you got to find the other 3% so you can motivate each other and you do not fall off. A quick little example. All agents say, it's my off season, right? They love to say that after the summertime. I figured out, here's why. One day off is 3 days to get back on. That is how much you lose when you take one day off. So if you take 1 week off, it's a month off, right? So if you take 2 months off, which is the summertime, everyone gets busy, they stop doing their calls or whatever, what happens? 6 months off, wintertime, and boom, shakalaka. Springtime, everybody's busy again. We don't ever miss at Vesta because we stay consistent. We don't have a down season, all right? That is how you do it. All right, next. Understanding lead generation models, there's a two-step thought process. There's long game focus and short game focus. Long game focus is where you get your trajectory forever success, but it is very, very challenging. It is how you become an expert in a specific dominated market, right? You have to understand that you can't be everything to everybody. You have to dominate a specific market, a niche. What my niche is first-time home buyers. I call them first-time home buyers and first-time home buyer plus. We dominate let's call it 300 to 800,000 market. No one touches us in that market. And it's because I understand how those buyers think, where they're looking, where they're shopping. And my net is just the biggest net to catch all the fish. And then we understand how to talk to them to then be able to close them. So what is your niche? What do you like? Where and how are you passionate? And go in there and put in the work, network, volunteer, do the stuff that you love to do, and you will find your people. But then you have to do it in a measurable way. A really good example is people say, well, I like to network. Okay, so how do you make it into a measurable success item? Here's an example. Get business cards. How many business cards can you go when you go to a networking event to then be like, all right, my goal is to get 5 business cards. Fantastic. All right. So once you get those 5 business cards, what do you do with them? You put them into a systematic approach, a follow-up, because then you understand that let's say that out of 10 business cards, you get 1 prospect. And then out of 5 prospects or, whatever, it is going to be your close. Like you get 5 prospects for 1 buyer, just like crazy numbers, right? Because then what you can do is you can reverse engineer to understand. I'm throwing a lot of numbers here, but like, let's just say, for example, okay, all of a sudden you understand that 30 business cards equals one home sale. Do you understand the type of energy that you're going to come into these networking events now? Because if I get 30 business cards, I'm going to get a home sold. So then you can be like, if I want to sell 10 homes, right? Then I need to get X amount of business cards. And now you have a purpose behind your action. Everything you do needs to be measurable, have a purpose behind it, and you have to be able to put it into a system to systematically follow up with them. That's how we do it, guys. I started this new model, this new team about 4 years ago. We really popped off last year. And everyone's like, what'd you do? How'd you do it? It's just because we were consistent for 3 years before. And by the end of the 3rd year, beginning of the 4th, we just went to the hockey stick mode. And it's because it's all about cumulative effort that will eventually get you to the next level. Takes a long time, guys. It took 3 years. Not a lot of people can stick with it, but we did, and we're reaping the benefits. Next. So, all right, great, fantastic, Greg. I don't have 3 years. What do I do now? Short game focus. Let's talk about that. So there's a lot of stuff like pay for lead generation, and that's expensive but effective if you know your numbers and you follow the numbers and you understand what specifically you need to go for. But you also have to have the CRM. You have to have the systems ready for that stuff. Like you have the ability to get leads now, right? But you have to be able to track those things, and then you have to be able to financially make sure that it makes sense. I don't like to do anything that doesn't give me $3 back for every $1 that I spend, right? So when I go into these places, and why do I say no to 97% of people? Just because I can just go through the BS already. I just know that most like these people that they're selling me bad leads or whatever. But then when I get somebody on the hook, I can ask the right questions, and most of them fall out because they don't have the answers. Ask the right questions. Understand what specifically you need to be looking for in the lead sources that are being offered to you to see if it's worth the investment. And then do it, believe in yourself, and give yourself a minimum of 3, hopefully 6 months to start to see those ratios, because that is about the buying timeline to be able to tell if a lead source is good or not. Another idea, if you're just starting out, go to a team lead. The amount of help team leads need is immense. And what I will go to them is like, hey, listen, how many people are in your database? How many people are you not contacting? What is in your nurture and your spheres? Can I contact them for you? And I'll give you a 25% referral fee, and then you can get them back. That is exactly the style of flow of like the stuff that you need to do to be able to get after it. Real estate is a contact sport. Remember that. All right. The power of attitude. Guys, this is it. 70% of your success comes from attitude. 70% of success comes from your attitude. It's got nothing to do with activities, with actions, and all of that. So what do you think you guys should be investing in every single day? It's your attitude. What makes you happy? What makes you feel good? I wake up every morning at 4:45. I work out. I stretch. I meditate. I get ready because my little gremlins wake up around 6:20 and they are ready to beat my ass. I'm sorry, DJ, I got to swear. And I love it. I love it. My little girls, they just crush me. And it's just why I am doing what I do. It's my why. And they are I invest in my attitude that way because I come in and I have to have so much energy to be able to push every single day to stay on top of my game. And then you just do that every single day. Guys, it's the butterfly effect. You do something every single day, it will just start your day off. You have to come in because when you have a crap day and you did 97 calls and you're like, I can't do this anymore. And you were one phone call away from that successful call, you missed it because your head was down. The next call is always the opportunity that you might have. So you got to be able to work on that so you can push through and get it going. Here's the quote that I want to leave you guys with. Whether you think you can or you can't, you're probably right. Go crush 2025. If you're in Chicago, I hope that I do a deal with you. Thank you so much for this opportunity. I love it.
All right, let's give a round of applause. Everyone's muted, but we'll
Thank you, thank you.
applaud for Greg and let him know in
Thank you,
the
thank
in
you, thank
the in the notes. His again attitude, right? We heard a lot about attitude and consistency. Greg, I've got a few questions for you.
you.
My first question, and thank you. Please put your questions in the chat. We will do our best to either unmute you or we'll ask on your behalf, but we want to get your questions answered. But I have a question. So for sphere of influence leads, so the people that are closest to you, if
Yeah.
you're not purchasing leads or acquiring sort of cold leads, what might you suggest as a good consistent strategy to stay in touch with those people so that when they do need you, they're not, going with someone else?
Yeah. So, the center of influence are, to me, the people that just want to hear from you, right? Like we're talking about people that like hearing from you or whatever. So I have a cadence of calling those people 4 times a year, so once a quarter. And it gets a little weird, and it's like, hey, how's it going? What's going? So like, I also like to do 2 events a year so that I can kind of like piggyback one call of how are you, another one, hey, come to my event, right? And you guys don't have to go crazy. Like you can just do something like partner with a lender, do a happy hour, say, hey, I just want to see you, do like a summer one and do I don't know. So I mean, beginning of the year, end of the year, Just do something that is kind of like, right there, and then it gives you a reason to phone call, right? So like that's what I do for my agents. I make it easy for them. But I do like 4 touches a year, do some newsletters, and if they are your center of influence, they'll come back to you.
That's great. Another question from the chat was from Mike McElroy, who said, "What are the questions that turn you off to a lead source?" Because we all get those emails and these cold emails from these lead companies that are like, well, they don't even say where they're from. Oftentimes, you just
Yeah.
get these emails all day long. We all get them. How would you go about, interviewing these people, making sure that they are actually can deliver?
What's your proven closing ratio? And give me 2 referrals of people that work with you and are successful. That will knock out 98% of people. Closing ratio, and give me a referral of 2 to 3 people that use you that can abide by that closing ratio. It will knock out everybody.
That's a great question. Travis asked, "Is there a reason you target $3 return on every $1 spent?"
Just it's what we found. That's the most profitable like expectation without getting too crazy, and something that is like worth your time, because the amount of energy you need to spend to be able to close these online leads, it's got to be able to pay you back significantly, right? So you can't just be making like 20 cents, additional from a dollar spend. Like you got to be able to like put that in, because then you got to remember, if you're waiting 3 to 6 months, you might not get your first check for 6 months, and you're usually spending thousands of dollars, right? So it's got to pay you back pretty well, pretty quickly. The other thing that you guys have to think about, there's a lot of referral programs out there as well that you don't have to pay for upfront. I know Redfin has a really good partner program. I used
Yep.
to be on that.
OpCity.
OpCity, if you look for those, like I will pay you for the referral, and it's performance based, right? So it's something where, are you fast on the phone? Are you available 24/7? Are you ready to lose your weekends? Do you hate evening? Not hate, but are you able to work on your weekends? If those answers are yes, you'll beat out everybody else on those, and you'll rank up the platform. But you just got to put in the work, and you got to find those avenues of free leads that you just pay on the back end with referral sources.
I have a question. How much harder, and you know a lot of agents locally here as well as all over the country.
Yeah.
How much harder do you think your agents work hour wise? And I mean this in a very complimentary way, because I think, since there isn't much accountability in this business, and you're sort of providing that structure, is that really the main secret to the success, is just putting in more time?
No. The whole principle behind real estate, most people say, just work harder.
Hmm.
Uh, I think that is a lazy mindset. The true mindset is work smarter.
Hmm.
So what we do is with our MMAs, my agents can complete their day within 2 to 3 hours. That's how focused their activities are, right? Like that is what I want them to do, because I want the rest of the time is to focus on themselves, go do stuff that you like. Mental health is a huge thing that we focus on here at Vested Preferred. And if you are very focused on your activities, you should be able to complete in your day within 3, maybe 4 hours of focused activities if you know what you're doing, right? But the availability, they have to be available 24/7, right? So like, because phone calls come in any point in time, we have numerous from all these different sources, and it's first to lead, right? We have showing time tours. You have to answer the phone. It automatically appoints it for you. It goes to the next agent. So I think it's more about working smarter to be able to get more business, and just the availability, the realistic availability, from, let's call it 8 a.m. to 9 p.m. Monday through Sunday, so that you're ready to answer the phone. You got to put in the work. You got to essentially dedicate 2 years of your life to do this. 2 years of your life. If you're not ready to do that, do not get into leads.
And what we're talking about is 3 to 4 hours of MMA, money making activities a day.
Yes. Yes.
I love that. Now, Patrick Browning asked, at what point did you create your team? And was this because you didn't have the bandwidth for the amount of work required, or were you just aggressively growing your business?
Yeah. Perfect question. I failed on 3 iterations of teams before this team. And before this team started, I looked at my business partner and said, I don't ever want a team again. So the reason why we started this team is because it's not that, we couldn't handle the bandwidth. It's that we didn't figure out the right model that would ultimately mesh with the way that we like to coach and guide and work, right? We are all about value add. We always give value to our agents, but very few agents are essentially able to take that, run with it, and execute consistently. So once we figured out this right model, right, and we actually it wasn't is in the same time we got onto Flex. It was like, this is a little bit too good to be true with the closing ratios, all that stuff. I put in the work. I closed 6 homes in the first month. I was like, whoa, dude, whoa. And Zillow was like, hey, listen, we're willing to grow this with you. We can 4 or 5x your lead flow. Are you able to do it? And I'm like, yeah, give me a moment. And then I went out on this, what does the ideal agent profile look like to be able to do this? And that is what we've been working on to get the right people into the right positions, because one of my agents performs at about 3 to 4 normal average agents, right? So it's a matter of opportunity tied with a lot of failure, tied with the understanding of what we needed to do. And so I guess it was experience of failure to know where we were going. And it's kind of like everything just kind of happened all at once. And that's where we're at now.
Okay, Leah Hill asks, as someone who has not previously worked for any brokerage, what advice do you have to stand out to brokerages with no experience or sales under your belt? Is sales something that would deter you from hiring, or do you focus mainly on attitude and ethic?
So this agent, I just want to make sure they don't have any experience and they're trying to stand out for the brokerage to get hired.
I believe so. Leah, you can.
The answer for you is you're
Yes.
thinking of it in a completely wrong way. The brokerage better knock your socks off to work there. Okay? Too many brokers undervalue themselves and don't understand what a value you are to be able to go and put into work and be consistent about it with a great attitude. 3% of my hires, right? 3% of people are hired here because that is exclusively what I look for. Yes, it'd be good to have some experience or whatever, but if you are just this like ready to crush, you have an amazing attitude, and you have this, I'm just gonna do whatever it takes, and I'm gonna get there, you will outperform 90% of the industry come a year. You just will. So what you need to be looking for is you need to be looking for the right brokerage that can support your ambitions. Like, listen, we had a lot of people. Most of my agents come from big brokerages, right? And it's not that they're bad, they're great at branding. Just when you get there, you're on an island. They don't offer you anything, right? So it's like they don't have leads. I mean, sure, they have some online coaching or whatever, but who in the office, right? You got to go in there. Who's the most successful broker in the office that you're looking at? And you want to go there. And I would interview them. How do they support you? How is your business grown here, right? When it comes to me and big brokerages, come in and they try to recruit me or whatever, I'm like, why? What do you provide for me? I'm outproducing your entire team. What are you talking about? Like, you want me to come to you so I give you more value? Get out of here. You need to be looking at yourself as the value asset, and the brokerage is the piece that can help you get to where you're trying to get to. That's how you got to be thinking about it.
A few quick questions left for Greg here. Boy, you're just getting more and more questions, which is amazing. Mike McElroy asks, do you have ISAs or do your agents make first contact with leads?
Mike, baby, I love you. How are you, man? Good to see you. Happy New Year. The ISA model failed. The reason is because no one's going to ever talk to a lead better than you. We're playing around with AI. The only reason is because we are going to mass volume sources like Facebook. The worst lead source in the world is Facebook. The reason that I'm going into them is because it's the cheapest. So what I understand is that if I can get something cheap, and if like out of 1,000 leads, I can close 10 deals and I can do it through AI, then it becomes very profitable for me. And it all starts with knowing your numbers, right? So ISAs were not good for the lead sources we were having. They weren't really like, doing that well for me. Maybe I had the wrong ISAs, maybe, I don't know. But what I've learned, we took the ISA model away because I want my agents to talk to the people right away, right from the start.
And Valeria asks, what platform to use for your CRM? You mentioned that Follow Up Boss
Follow-up boss, yep.
is
We
his.
just we
Nicole,
just transferred, by the way. And coming from the last CRM, I can tell you, it's bar none amazing for real estate.
awesome. Nicole asks, do you find that paid referral sources to be better quality leads that close, than leads generated from open houses or hosting home buying webinars? In other words, leads from paid referral sources versus open houses or doing events.
It depends, right? But I would say almost always your efforts will breed better leads, right? It's just when you think about it, the harder it is to get the lead, probably the higher quality it is. Just use that formula and it'll probably guide you towards where you got to be putting your efforts in. But do stuff that you like to do, right? Like don't just do things to do them. And if you're gonna do the open house, make a metric behind it, right? Like, are you doing certain types of promotions? Are you trying to get people in? And then be like, all right, cool. How many open house buyers come in on average are unrepresented? And how many of those unrepresented buyers can I get to close? Because then you can get really excited. It's like, oh, cool, there's another unrepresented buyer. I know 5 of these, I get a lead. Get yourself excited with your activities because you got to know your numbers.
I know there are still some agents that are nervous about asking buyers for signing the agreement and possibly asking for direct payment. You said that that didn't scare you. You guys figured out your pitch
Yeah.
there, and you said not only did it not make things worse, it actually made things better, and your close ratio went up. Can you just speak to that for a little bit?
Yeah, it's changed everything for us. And I felt that it was going to be a massive competitive advantage for us. And my God, was I right. Here's why. Brokers don't know how to sell themselves. They don't know how to sell their value. There's a secondary type of pitch now. There used to be first and foremost a home consultation. That was the first. Guys, the first pitch now is a broker consultation. You see what I'm saying? We've created an entire pitch deck on why we are the right broker that they should be using. And it's all value-based. What are your 4 points that you offer that nobody else can compete with, right? For example, I went back and I looked at all of our closed sales that we then sold again, and I figured out we make people on average $45,000 when they buy with us and then sell with us. I say that point, and they're like, whoa. Because you guys have to understand, if somebody sees you as an asset, they're signing right away. They see you as an expense, you're done. You are nervous right now, whoever asked that question, because you see yourself as an expense. Start thinking yourself as an asset. They are lucky to be talking to you because of what is your value prop? Get good at that. Get good at 30-second pitch, and then get good at a 5-minute presentation, and you'll knock it out of the water.
Last question from Tim Littleton. What advice do you have for a broker who has just moved to a new area and is just getting started in their real estate career?
I mean, it depends on what you want to sell, right? If I was to start somewhere new, right, and I was kind of like just doing my thing, I would figure out niche-wise, right, where and how there's an opportunity. And then I would look and see who are the best performing brokers in that specific niche. Like, let's say you want to be the best at high-rise selling in the Gold Coast, right? Who is doing the best? And I would just go call them. The best top producing brokers, guys, they're the most open, honest, and willing to give because we understand the pie is so big. It's so big that like at the end of the day, what am I holding it so close to my chest? I'm not nervous. I'm not worried. I want to share. I want to bring great brokers into this industry because there's too many people that think that we're car salesmen. Nothing against car salesmen. I love car salesmen, but the idea of like a sleazy salesman or whatever, and we got to get that out, right? So if you just are starting, you're coming into a new niche, a new market, kind of figure out where and how you want to focus, and then just become the best at that and understand where those people, where those buyers are at, and just start marketing to that, right? I mean, at the end of the day, I'm really good at online leads. You can place me anywhere, and I'll start selling like that because I understand how and where to formulate. That's my niche. But like, figure out what you like to do, where you want to be, who you can attract, and then go interview the best people in that niche, and then just replicate their system. Find out their MMAs. What do you do? What's the numbers? How many people do you got to call? People will tell you. Then you put it into a stat, like you put it into your equation, then you just backwards and that understand that if I need to call 10 people today, I'll get 1 lead. Fantastic. Go call those 10 people. Understand your numbers. That's it.
100% agree on asking for advice from already successful agents. This is how we book guests for how we don't really ask guests anymore. They come to us more than we go to them. But when we first started, I thought no one's going to want to share their secrets. And boy, was I wrong. Because you probably don't see other agents as competition, I'm
No,
guessing.
no. I love you guys. Instagram me. Let's chat.
Speaking of that, we will have all of Greg's social social links sent out to you. We will get that to you. Please follow him all over the place. He is a great person to follow and emulate and duplicate his success with his. And again, how generous was this of Greg to do this? So please, again, send him a message. Let him know you appreciate it. And we're going to take a quick break. We'll see everyone in about 5 minutes. Thanks, Greg.
Thank you guys. Go crush 2025.